I'm just getting set up here. So I'm not quite ready to go yet. But that's okay. Let me see here. I do wish there was a little thing. If I had a feature request to give to the folks behind the Twitch Studio beta thing, it would be to be able to tie in, what is the word for it? A means of, actually, I guess I should check and make sure everything is working. It is. A means of being able to send notifications out to different venues. That would be my feature request. By the way, I've also noticed one of the things that is irritating is the wrong word for it, I don't think, but something that I have to figure out or get a better ability to shift with is the only problem. Well, it's not the only problem. For me, one of the major problems in bouncing between multiple operating systems, well, it doesn't matter if they're different or not, but bouncing between different OSs is I tend to, because I use one keyboard and mouse for my different machines, because it's just a lot easier. So basically I have I don't know what the model of this thing is, a Logitech something that has the ability to connect via one of those little Lightspeed connectors, which is their proprietary dongle thing. And that's on my main machine, the machine that I'm using for this. And it also has Bluetooth. Now here's something weird, because this is something that I don't know quite why it works this way. But on my little mouse, because I have a mouse that can connect to multiple devices, a mouse which, and this is a strange thing because I would not, if I had to think about things on a mouse that would break, that would bother me, this would not have been one I would have projected. But the scroll wheel, the thing that makes the clickies, or because scroll wheel can be, I think they call it smooth or free scrolling, and then there's the, where it has that bumpy feeling. I don't know how else to describe it. Uh-oh. Oh, my headset just powered off on me. Why did my headset power off? Oh, because it wasn't connected, so I can't hear anything. Hold on. I didn't realize that my headset, because I'm just talking, and since I haven't started with the game yet, I don't have any return audio. I guess I should actually do that, so sorry. But anyway, there's that thing in the mouse, the scroll wheel itself, that makes, it has like a little bit of a tactile feedback. It's kind of that, you can feel it. So there's sort of a bumpiness. I don't know what it's called. Whatever that particular thing is. That bumpiness is, it's not working. And so, do I have the wrong headset on? I might have the wrong headset on. Hold on a minute. Let me check something. I bet you I have the wrong headset on. Hold on. This doesn't matter. I can keep talking. So I'm going to keep talking. Hold on. You got the wrong headset. Problem with having a million different things is you don't know what you're using from one minute to the next, which is, not great. Let me try this. Hold on. I'll have to make sure. And having two identical headsets. Hey, Faint Waves, how you doing? You know what? I'm a train wreck right now, but that's okay because I'm trying to complain about something. And simultaneously, I think I'm realizing I'm using the wrong headset. Yeah. Let me try this again. Yeah, hey, Sinister Purpose, how you doing? All right, let me try this. At least the battery level's high. Let me see. Because they're identical headsets. That's the... Yeah, okay, I had the wrong one. Now I'm good. All right. Not that, again, there's any audio, but it basically, the other headset powered it. You know what? No, I don't have an extra port. Doesn't matter. All right, I've got the right one on. So, okay. So anyway, the little mouse, the little scroll wheel thing broke. The little bumpiness broke. And it's really disconcerting because the scroll wheel has no resistance now. There's no... whatever you call that, where the scroll wheel is going. So I'm really thrown off by it. Like it actually really bothers me to use a scroll wheel that doesn't have that force feedback, that bumpiness. So I gotta get another mouse. I mean, I'll save this one. It works. It'll be a backup. But I get distracted by it, which is just bonkers to think you can get distracted by something as stupid as the scroll wheel. In any event, that's what's going on with me. Oh, I was trying to post links. So anyway, that was where they just. Oh yeah, so with the keyboard, because it's a, I guess you would call it an agnostic keyboard or whatever the term would be. Because of that, the control button is what you do everything with on Windows, and then the, I guess, options or command, whatever it's called on Mac, it's a different button. So on the keyboard, there's a Windows button, and that functions as the options button for Mac. So my pinky finger is usually what I've got on that key, and so I always forget. And so in Windows, when I go to paste something, I will paste it with the Mac, with the Windows key, which just brings up a menu instead of doing it with the actual correct key. So that is what I've been blabbing about now for what, 5 minutes? Oh God, I have been talking for 6 minutes. All right, let's get to the actual gameplay here. Let me make sure my stuff's connected. Good grief. All right, let's do this. Okay, at least my controller is good. Obviously my mic works. Oh yeah, proceed. Thank you. Actually, wow, that was funny. I blabbed on long enough for the one thing I had running in the background to finish. Now I don't have to worry about that maybe dragging it down. I mean, it didn't. My CPU is still well under 10%, which is good. But why did that blink at me? No, I don't think that matters. Okay, whatever. I'm going to close Discord because I'm easily distracted. All right, so here we go. So we're going to go ahead and let's see if this works. Yep, there's the counter. So that's good. That's actually working. Okay. Yep. I probably don't even need to have this thing be a minute. I really don't. I could probably make this thing 30 seconds for his... But then my animations wouldn't play, so I would spend all that time on little animations for nothing, and I can't have that because, of course, this is really just an excuse for me to do graphic stuff. So if I didn't have the graphics, what would the excuse be? You know? And it allows me time to get a drink of water. Oh, thank you. I have no doubt that the way I'm doing this to an actual animator, somebody who does this professionally, they would be aghast at the way I do these things. I'm sure of it. In fact, I just noticed that the friggin' manta ray blinked out. I'll have to fix that. That blinked out. That's going to bother me. That'll be on my mind for a while. Oh, well. What are you going to do? All right. So here we go. So you should now be seeing, hopefully, where is my little guy? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And let's make sure the controller works. Yes, the controller works! Function over fashion. Yeah, the problem with me is I can't even get the function part right. That's the issue. If I could get one of those, it'd be a good day, but I can't even manage that correctly most of the time. Alright, so here we go again on our little journey here. I didn't know what I was going to blab on about today. I mean, the most obvious thing is the Elon Musk Twitter stuff, which is still just... I guess I could probably blab on about that for an hour, because it's just so irritating to me in every way. I mean, Elon Musk in general has just become... I mean, he's basically the equivalent for me of what Donald Trump was for many people when he was president. I just can't stand that this person is what he is and that people adore him for no good reason. I mean, not for no good reason. I shouldn't say that. That's unfair. Yes, there are a couple of things that Elon Musk is associated with that are good. One would be Tesla, although that's debatable because I actually know 3 people directly, firsthand, that bought Teslas, and all 3 of them have ditched them now. All within the last, I would say, I'm trying to remember, year and a half, they've all gotten rid of them because it was one of these things where for the first year that they had it, they loved the car because they loved having the car. And then they started realizing there were all these little things about the car, fit and finish, the actual way that, you know, some of the features are run that they didn't like. And they ultimately decided that they didn't care about the car enough. And they were able to unload them really easily and get most of their money back, from what I understand, because there are these devout, almost messianic, that's not a word, these zealot people who will buy a Tesla because they're so desperate to be part of that thing. And I'm not anti-electric car. I'm really not. In fact, if anything, I would love to not have gasoline be something we depend on. I'm all for it. I just don't think Teslas are good, and I don't think Elon Musk is a good guy. I think he's a egomaniacal nut. you know, and SpaceX too. I mean, I was against private space flight for a while. I really didn't like the idea of that, and I still have my problems with it. But I understand that that's the only way it's going to happen. That the reality is that there simply is not the public support for, you know, government and space. It's just people don't want, they don't see the reasoning for it, so they don't want to spend the money on it. And you know, there's only so many times you can fight that battle before you give up. So I get it. So SpaceX too. You know, I'm not saying that nothing associated with that guy has any contribution to society. That's not fair. But those early things, I mean, you look at the full portfolio, there's way more misses than hits. And the problem becomes that people who are just, again, worship at that altar, it's just, you can't have any type of anything with them. And I think, you know, some of the stuff around Twitter, you listen and look at the stuff he's said and what he's written, and it's so dumb. So dumb. Within the same sentence, the man can't keep his stuff straight. You know, when he talked about, he said, you know, Twitter is an important public square, which that term was a direct quote from a public square. Okay. Public square that is now going to be, if this goes through, and I don't know if it actually will, there's actually now discussion that maybe it's not going to happen because there's a number of hurdles that, you know, could still get in the way. But if it goes through, that's now a, quote, public square that is now privately owned. And, you know, okay, is that really what people want? Is that someplace that is supposed to be a free speech haven, whatever that means? That there again, the term free speech, liberally used by people who manipulate what its intent is to their own purposes, which I guess, don't get me wrong, that's the eternal problem, but it's come on. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I of all the people, I think, not all the people, but of the many possible people who could be in control of Twitter, Elon Musk is just not one I would ever have picked. So, you know, whatever. I'll probably talk more about this on the show this week. I don't want to drag this whole thing into the mud on that, but it doth irritate. Oh, he's around. I don't want to fight him yet. I'd like to get the sub. In happier news, though, I did spend about the last, not quite an hour, but close to that. I've been watching trailers for horror movies on Tubi for the upcoming Tubi tournament I'll be doing with Len Kabaczynski, where we'll be covering horror films. And I have to say, I found a good number that even if we don't elect to cover them for the tournament, because some Len may have seen, or he has, the ability, because what we do is, my wife, who truly is a saint in so many ways, went through, because we're supposed to be doing these randomly. And so I granted her this time, just like last time, I said, hey, you have complete control. I don't have to veto anything. I'm not going to say a word. You go through and you pick out the movies and you give me the list, and then I'll look through them. And all I really will do is look for movies that I know I don't want to watch, which, let me pause the game here. So I have the list actually right in front of me, which I won't read the entire thing because that would spoil some of the surprise. But there were a couple movies on here that I elected to get rid of because, number one, and this is the one thing about Tubi's category system, it's not really all that strict. So they end up allowing a lot of things under descriptions that, if you're asking me, aren't really accurate. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's kind of like, I don't really know that that's a horror film, but okay. And so, yeah, I've gotten rid of some of them, but there's movies on here that I am going to watch regardless. For example, a movie from 2018 called Braid, which apparently has an alternate title, but that looks really interesting to me. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up... There's one called Killer Sofa, which I watched Deathbed, the bed that eats, I think it was called. Ridiculous film. So I'm going to watch Killer Sofa because... how could I not? So that's just a couple of examples. But basically, yeah, there's 21 movies here that... Oh, and The Antenna from 2020. That one looks interesting to me, too. That one feels very much... It's got a Lovecraftian thing. Pulled up to the other day searching for a legal and high-quality watch Secret World. Oh, was it on there? There's so much stuff. Tubi is oh well, you know what though, that statement, and I get what you mean, that of all places that Tubi would have it, because Tubi started off very niche, but they, I think, have really seen a big popularity jump, because now they're doing originals. So, and honestly, I hadn't heard of Tubi. I think I'd seen it probably on a website somewhere. I'm sure I did. It's not that I'd never heard of it, but I didn't really give it any serious consideration until Len mentioned it. And you know, before we were doing even the tournament, it was just something where he was talking about that Tubi had, I think particularly his movies and other movies, and he was really a big proponent of it. And now I'm really seeing a lot of people that are referencing it. So it is becoming more popular. It's becoming something that is more known now. And the ads aren't terrible. I mean, there's, you know, they're there. So I'm not going to tell you there's no ads. But they're not obnoxious. They're not, I mean, they're repetitive. That's my only problem with them, is they don't have a variety. But then again, you could say the same thing about almost any type of service now, because when we watch games on MLB's stream, they repeat the same 18 friggin' things over and over. So I can't even blame Tubi for that. That's a common problem. And bewildering one, that these, you know, places can't get better variety in their ads. But yeah, Tubi's, it's jumping up a bit. It's now becoming a little bit more, I believe I heard about it through, well, that's what I mean, is it was word of mouth for me. I'm sure that I have no doubt that Tubi showed up on lists where people said, oh, where can you watch movies free? You know, on sites like Gizmodo, The Verge. I'm sure they were mentioned or in the conversation, but, you know, I'd never heard of them. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't just, I'm going to go to Tubi, because, you know, and at first and I don't remember if they did a site redesign right shortly after I started using them, but, you know, there's still some problems with it. It's still not the smoothest in terms of discovery and that type of thing. But the catalog is good, and it's growing. And there's actually some really legitimately good stuff on there. Now, I will say, what is interesting is, and I don't know if this would have applied to the Peter Gabriel concert film, but there is a lot of the stuff that's on there that is also on Amazon. And of course, you know, if you have Prime, it's ad-free. But Amazon has its own free streaming service, so I kind of wonder about some of these deals in the background, because for a little while I thought, oh, maybe Tubi is actually, you know, got some kind of deal with Amazon, because it was interesting how many of the titles I was seeing in both places. But since Amazon now runs IMDb.tv, which by Amazon's ownership of IMDb should greatly explain why IMDb has gone down the tubes in terms of quality. I mean, just awful compared to what it used to be. IMDb used to be legitimately a good site that was stripped down, simple, got you the information without all the junk. And now it's not unusable, but I don't actually like going to it if I don't have to. If I can go somewhere else first, Letterboxd, Wikipedia, someplace else, I will. Because now I find it to be, it has degraded in terms of, and I'm sure this is Amazon's influence, it's loaded with garbage ads and promotions. So it has gone from being a more utilitarian, well, that's probably not the right word for it, but it went from being a site with a good, clean, tight focus to now it's just a sprawling, you know, billboard type thing. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's still useful, it still has its purpose, but it is not nearly as, oh, just go to IMDb automatically as it used to be. Which is a shame. I mean, I know that's most things, that's what happens to them. It's acquisition or devolution, apparently. That's the way that successful anything is now. But that's particularly kind of, compared to the way it used to be, it's a real letdown. Because I used to like IMDb a lot. I used to go to it for a lot of stuff, and it was, like I said, don't get me wrong, it was never pretty. But you know what? I don't need pretty. I want useful. I will take utility over good looks when it comes to websites and delivering information. Just give me what I need to know. I don't care if you're going to play a banner ad for whatever stupid movie I'm not going to see in the theaters anyway, because it looks like 18,000 other movies that were in the theaters last year. Who cares? So, yeah. Where was I going? Oh, yeah, so that's what I mean about the Tubi thing is interesting. I am kind of curious what they're, you know, it's a good model for them, it seems to be, because it is getting bigger. Oh, man, yeah, the Bandcamp thing sucks. It sucks. and this is okay, I'm not going to get into a political thing here, but this is ultimately the problem when everything becomes about growth and profits all the time and having to generate all this stuff. It isn't about the actual quality of the product anymore. You become a product of chasing something. That's what your ultimate goal is. You're chasing some kind of number. And that number could be stock price increases. That number could be a growth metric. That number could be, a subscribe. It's like the Netflix thing. Netflix throws out this stupid thing about, people sharing accounts or what's denting our stuff. No, it isn't. Please. It's not. Give me a break. It's because, damn it. Not that it really matters. I'm not worried too much about Jaws because I don't have moving jellyfish and his little shark army hasn't shown up yet. Baby sharks haven't shown up. But it's nonsense. It's not that people are sharing passwords, Netflix. It's that you suck. You're not doing your job anymore. You coasted on the credibility for a while because Netflix was the big first example of, hey, you can do this stuff. And then, they had a couple hits here and there, and they still do. Typically, once, twice a year, Netflix has some big thing that people talk about, but that's all they got. And, that's 2, even 3, 5 things. Let's give them 5 things. I can't even think of the last time there were 5 big things on Netflix in a year, but let's say 5. Because I'm not every audience, so there's people who like stuff I don't. So, okay, 5 things in a year. Well, a year is a long time if all you got is 5 major hits. When you're in competition with a bunch of other places that are doing the same thing you are. Not that necessarily I'm saying that every other stream... Certainly, I'm not going to make an argument that Peacock is as good as Netflix, but it's not that far different. So, if you're not all that distinguishable from every other service... and some of those services are now pulling part of the catalog that helped build your success, then you have to figure something else out. And maybe it's not, it's not going to be Stranger Things forever, or whatever else they've got. I don't know. Is there anything? And the fact and I've complained about this before, so this is like a greatest hits thing for me in complaining about Netflix. The cancellation thing. See? Yeah. Right? I mean, that and... Peacock, you know what? Peacock is not bad. I have to say, if not for the fact that I had so much already on my Plex server and that a lot of stuff is already covered that I own physically, like Miami Vice, I have the Blu-rays of that, because of course I do. And I put them on the Plex within, 15.5 seconds of having them. So, but if I didn't, then I would be using, if it was something that wasn't available, because here's something else as a tangential related thing. I don't understand this thing where they're not releasing stuff on physical media. Like, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes. Because, for example, in a microsecond, I would buy Schitt's Creek on Blu-ray because I would like to have that show in the best quality, and I would support that show that way. Instead, all I have are DVDs. Even though it is absolutely available in HD on several different streaming services. Shark! I don't know why they don't do that. And then everybody complains that nobody's buying physical media. Well, I don't know if that's that true. You got to give me stuff on there for me to buy it. But in any event, yeah, that's what I'm saying is now that these actual direct content owners are making their own services, one of the things that Netflix relied on was, of course, back catalog, old shows that you couldn't stream anywhere else. Well, that advantage is now dead or dying in a large way. So you have to do something else. And raising prices multiple times is not going to help that. If anything, when you're struggling a little bit, that's when you should be dropping prices and maybe taking a bit of a hit to what the shareholder payout and your CEO's bonuses are. But of course, that thought never enters the mindscape of these people. So this is where we are. And, it's not that I'm saying, let's say, completely agree physical. Yeah. That's it. I mean, why, especially because... And here is the incredible stupidity of it all. A lot of these shows are made in 4K, HDR, which is best experienced with local media. It just is because it's not compressed as much or compressed to hell and back like it is on some of these services. And you don't release this stuff? Then why did you bother? Because it just assumes that everybody's... I mean, I know we're supposed to think that everybody just has internet now, even though we don't treat, in this country, internet as a utility, but we just assume everybody has it, and that it's high quality, which is absolutely not the case, even with the internet providers who are considered, top tier. I've been very lucky that my Xfinity or Comcast or whatever their name is now, it's been pretty steady. Although I had about a couple month period where we were getting some weird dropouts, and they just went away. So I can only assume it was some kind of work they were doing. But not everybody has that. Whereas, that's not to say everybody's going to go out and buy a 4K. I'm not saying that either. But why wouldn't you want that option available so somebody who actually really appreciates what you paid for in the show, everyone? You paid for this thing to be filmed this way. You put the money into it, one would think, and you don't want the best presentation possible? Okay, that makes a whole bunch of sense. Or it doesn't. Morons. So, I don't know. I don't know where it's all going. And there is going to be a point where people are simply not going to be subscribing to all this stuff. I'm already at it. And it's not really even for me a money thing. I could afford to subscribe to all this stuff. But there's a part where I'm sitting here going, hey, Bernie, what's happening, man? There's a point where I'm like, I'm not going to pay for all this crap. For 15 different services when, again, what am I paying for Netflix for when I watch it twice a year? Maybe. It's losing something else. Something is leaving Netflix and going over to Hulu. What was it? I just read about it. Something big is leaving it and moving in October. I don't remember what it was. I'm just sitting here going, what the hell is the point? It's nonsense. And to raise the prices, too, on top of it. That's the other... honestly, the Netflix thing... They're shooting themselves in the face multiple times with a shotgun, because some of these things, you could say if the price had stayed the same and they said, well, we had a choice between raising the price or losing some of the content that people, like, and we decided that it was more important for us to not raise prices than to keep Friends or whatever. Okay. That's an argument most people, I think, would accept. They would say, okay, yeah, I'd rather you didn't bump up the price unless you're a Friends super fan, in which case I think you're going to Peacock. Or wherever it is now. I don't even know where Friends is because I hate Friends. So wherever that show it resides. Wherever it is. Oh, jeez. That would be something where I think people would say, all right, well, that's, it's not great. But, hey. I guess that's a high emoji. I don't know anything about Twitch, so I don't even know what that emoji is called. Sorry. This is how terrible I am at this. The apex of my abilities with this platform is creating graphics for it. That's it. Top to bottom. But that's where that... And then they start blaming it on people sharing passwords and all that. It's just garbage. It's all just corporate cover so that they can try to throw out a reason that might sound like something that somebody in a boardroom might believe, but it's disconnected from any reality whatsoever. And I think most people know that. I don't think many people actually believe any of that nonsense. But it looks good on a press release. Yeah, and more like Net Sucks is right. I agree. And I don't like saying that because the stuff that I do like from Netflix, I like quite a bit. I thought Altered Carbon Season 1... I know Lando, it's a good thing he's not here because he would be screaming, it sucks! Okay, yeah, I know. He loves the book. But as far as a show... Oh, man, it was great. It was cyberpunk top to bottom. It was a gorgeous show. I thought... I don't particularly love that actor, Joel, whatever his name is, but he was good in it. He was perfectly fine. Everybody else was all right. Nobody was bad in it. I thought the visuals were really well done. I thought it captured the atmosphere really well. I liked the story. There was lots about that show that I thought was great. Tiger King. Yeah, I didn't jump on the Tiger King thing because I don't know. It just never appealed to me. But I know a lot of people who liked it. It was they're a good example. That was everywhere for a while. You couldn't escape the Tiger King thing. So, but that's what I mean. There's obviously the competency, and when Netflix makes something really good, they usually make something really good. But as Euro Pro, I was fat. Hey, yeah, well, no, I get it. Anybody who's outside the United States, I think we're basically a fascinating and yet horrific type of thing, almost like the woman from Species as she's mid-transformation. That's the United States. The Species creature mid-transformation. There's a show title. But yeah, it's just, they've gone... Okay, now I'm at Power 6. I probably could just shoot Jaws in the face with the spear gun and kill him pretty quickly, so... Let's see where he is. I would like to get the mini-sub, though. I always like having the mini-sub. It's just always nice having that little bit of the one-hit protection. Kind of like having the base-level armor in Ghosts and Goblins. I just want it. I gotta play... God, there's more versions. I was watching something. I was not aware of how many versions of Ghosts and Goblins there was. I really only thought there was 2 until the new one. I knew there was the new, the new release, but holy crap. The reason I locked Netflix is because... Well, yeah, that's another thing. I mean, that's a universal problem. Access restrictions on content on a streaming service is just ridiculous. I mean, it's never made sense. It's right up there with bandwidth caps for internet providers, which are nonsensical and are unless you are a very small provider, which if you're a small provider, I'm guessing you don't have enough people to hit whatever your actual, cap is. It's nonsense. It's another thing that's just a way to try to, I don't even I mean, it's all right stuff, I guess. So I shouldn't say that. It's not really the providers, the streamers in that case. It's more the content owners, I guess. But all that stuff, these are all outdated and honestly just consumer hostile policies. It doesn't make any sense. There's never a good justification. Where was I heading up or was I heading down? I don't even remember. Let me see. Oh, no, I was heading down. I'll probably hit into him now. But, oh, there he is. Well, let's see. Will he catch up to me? I don't think he goes faster as the game goes on, but he will probably drift in. Yeah, region locks, no sense. Region locks are just, again, arbitrary. There is no good... Wow, man, did I push that one close? There's no good reason for it. Unless you're a lawyer or, you're in the copyright protection racket, then I'm sure you can generate what you think is a reasonable argument that any ordinary person would say, yeah, but you're stupid. So I really can't imagine what good reason there would be. So yeah, these are all just, this is on top of the problem with, just content purely is all that stuff. But I guess what else do you expect? These companies are not in the business of serving their customers, and they're not. They give that illusion, and when the company's doing things that the customer likes, the customer might even believe it, but of course it's not reality. The people that they're ultimately serving are the people who really own the companies, and that's not the customers. A privately owned company, it's privately owned companies, even they have the same problems. There's no good solution to it. I am not an economics professor. I can't come up with what the answer is. But I also don't subscribe to the notion that you're not allowed to complain if you don't have an answer. That's this. When people say that, well, you can't complain. If you don't have some kind of answer for it, then you shouldn't complain. Okay. I'm not a mechanic. But if I look in the rearview mirror and I notice that my tire is wobbling horribly, I know that's a problem. I can't fix it. I'm going to have to go to somebody else who has something, but I know that the tire's wobbling. I can identify the issue. Should I not complain about it? Should I not be concerned just because I can't fix it? I don't understand that mentality. I never have. I'm more bothered by people who don't want to be part of the solution. I get that, complaint. Okay, I'm with you there. But this whole thing about, oh, well, if all you're going to do is identify a problem and you don't have some kind of way to address it, you should just shut up. No, sorry, I won't shut up. That's ridiculous and assumes that everybody has an understanding of things that they obviously cannot. Nobody can understand everything that way. Morons. I've used morons a lot in this stream, which is not something I generally tend to do. I try to be a little less heated, but I have no idea why. I'm just getting off on a negative tangent. But on the plus side, because this all stemmed off the Tubi thing. To go back to the positive thing, I have a nice assortment of horror movies here to watch. And even if we don't pick them for the tournament, I'm going to watch these on my own. So I've got, I think, 10 marked that I'm watching no matter what. That look like a riot. Some of them look like actual quality films, like, is legitimately good. And other ones look like they're terrible, and I'm all for that too. For one, there's one I found called Hellhole from, I think, 87. Oh, man, it looks awful. But I'm going to watch it, because it looks awful. So, so not a bad day all in all. Because I got to watch trailers for terrible movies today. So I am not going to complain too much. And I get to sit here and play Jaws and muse about things that are both pleasing and unpleasing to me. So I can't really complain about anything in life with any seriousness at this point. Holy crap. I have almost 50 shells. I can't make it to a port to upgrade. There we go. power 7. This is ridiculous. Now if I hit anything, it's just going to be all moving jellyfish. So now I might as well just... Because there's no mini sub. I don't know where it is. Oh, no. Oh, man. Yep, hell on earth. Well, at least there's no jellyfish. This could have been worse. This could have been far worse. This is the worst case scenario. High power level, relatively, and shallow water. Because that's almost begging for the moving jellyfish, and then it's all over with. I don't have the dexterity anymore to get around that. I'm not 18. You know? So, it ain't gonna happen. But luckily, these things are easy to evade. I mean, they come pretty rapidly, but if I just don't collect the shells, it staggers them out a little bit, you see? So, there's only 3 of them at a time. So this isn't too bad. I mean, it's making my thumb hurt, but I can put up with that. But now, oh, jeez. Yeah, gotta let them get a little too close there. That's the other thing, is you don't want to have them coming from both sides, because then you got to do a lot of ducking around, which is not simple in shallow water. Okay, it looks like... All right, there we go. Is the sub there? No, where's the sub? Oh, screw it. I'm just going to wait for him. Why risk getting into a jellyfish fight? All right, here we go. Come on, Jossie. Oh, no. Whoa. That was a glitch. I should have been dead. Either I somehow magically evaded that thing. I should have been dead. I felt like I went right into that. Well, I'm not going to attempt it. Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, too much moving stuff. That feels like the game kind of glitched on me there. I got a really lucky break somehow. I hit a ghost jellyfish in some weird, bizarre fashion there. I should have been dead right there. I think. I mean, it is possible that I microscopically evaded it and just couldn't really tell because my eyes are terrible. But it sure didn't seem that way to me. Whoa, jeez, man. This is not good. This is not good. This is why you need the mini sub. See, this is what I'm talking about. Mini sub would help me out a lot right now. Because, jeez, at least I could... At least I could... Okay, come on, come on. Come on. Come on, Jaws, you son of a bitch. Sorry, I'm trying not to swear on the stream. That's actually the first time that... Oh, phew. Man. Control drawing. Hey, nice. Yeah, I'll tell you, that Apple Pencil 2 is legitimately great. He's dead. Bang. Dead skis. Yeah, I'm going to do that later. I'm going to try probably in... Oh, I don't know. How long have I been doing this for? Let's see, because I'm going to need a little break in between. 37 minutes. Okay, so probably... Oh, let's see. Oh, you know what? I tried the Whack-Ems. I've tried them. I can never get over... Well, okay. I haven't tried one in a long time. I tried it back when it was the idea that you had it connected to the computer. And so you were drawing on the tablet, but you were seeing it in Photoshop. And I could not bridge that gap. I couldn't do it. Something about not seeing where my hand was just never worked for me. It really didn't. So I had to, I couldn't do it. I had to send it back. So it's the only Whack-A-Mole I've ever tried. So it's not that I like the concept, but yeah, I think that's it. I didn't give it a fair shake. And then when the iPad came out and the drawing on it was, I got used to that, and I was still doing physical drawing at that time. So I wasn't really, and with the Wacom too, I was still really mostly drawing physically, with a pen, pencil, ink, that type of thing. And now I've really just gone completely the other way, is where I'm doing the painting. Yeah, that's the thing, is now the interfaces are so good that really anybody can do it. And especially, I have Photoshop on the iPad because it's part of the Creative Cloud, but I'll be honest, I never use it. I use Procreate for everything. And then I may do there's still stuff finishing-wise. I'm going to get a drink. Hold on a second. I have a cup right here, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm just taking a drink. So there's stuff I will still do finishing-wise, because Procreate doesn't let you draw shapes very well, if at all. I think it sort of does. You can do shapes kind of, but you can't do the actual. I can't just draw a square and adjust it. You know what I mean? That type with a geometry type of thing, like Photoshop will do with shapes. So there's still limitations to what Procreate does. All right, here we go. We'll do another round of this. But honestly, especially now with the new iPad and when they went to Procreate, whatever version they're on, and that is one thing, because with the iPad, a lot of times I generally have done iPad upgrades. I've skipped a generation. That was kind of my thing for a while. So I would get every other one because, you usually weren't getting that much of an upgrade between the ones for the pros. But then the last one, when I saw the layer count double. Clip Studio I've heard. Yeah, I've a lot of people are like that. I know a couple people who that use Clip Studio over and have the Creative Cloud, and will use Clip Studio. And it's the same way with people who use GIMP, which is the free Photoshop alternative, which is a far more powerful program than it ever used to be. Because anybody who says, Photoshop's too expensive, which I completely understand. It is, Adobe's doing the same thing as Netflix right now, where they are on a precarious edge. Oh, I need more conch shells. Oh, I'm short one. Adobe in general they are coasting on the fact that they're really Photoshop and Premiere and Illustrator, I would say, are the tentpoles. Now, they've been a little bit smarter than, say, Netflix in that they are rounding out their portfolio more. Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. It's most of the people who use it and don't want to use it do it because they have to. Because it is simply the way that everybody uses things. And that's not to say, look, I've used Photoshop since version 2 or 3. So I've been in Photoshop for a long time. I mean, a long time. And even I will say, I love stuff that it does, but you look around and it's not as unique in its power set as it used to be. And, Adobe's pricing is not great for most people. I get a break on it because I get a student discount. So I'm actually paying whatever the student rate is. And I do use it all the time. But, for anybody who's doesn't, is especially for a lot of freelancers and stuff where paychecks, you can go. I've only had a small taste of it. And man, I don't know how some of these people start off. Because I know when I got out of art school, a lot of the people that I graduated with, they were not working jobs that paid very much. And to try to build up a freelance anything creative, business when you're not making a ton of money, and to try to afford something like Photoshop, it's not easy. So at one point when you were using something like GIMP or what's the one that's the photo, like Affinity Photo or something like that, these other ones were Lightroom alternatives. At one point you were using what was generally janky software. It wasn't great. It was okay. It functioned. But there were a lot of shortcuts you had to get used to not having or using differently. They weren't very smooth programs. There was a lot of crashing. UI wasn't really up to snuff, that kind of thing. And now you go into these things and they're really nice looking programs to the point where it becomes a harder and harder sell, I think, for a lot of people to pay for something like, because I know there's more limited Photoshop plans, but some of that, the problem there is that, yeah, you get that. And then of course, you realize, well, there's all these other programs that Adobe makes that you can integrate, you can learn that stuff. And once you're sort of in that ecosystem, it's kind of the Apple thing where you want more of it. But, Adobe at one point, I don't know, probably around 6 or so. At that point, I'm only a Power 1. I'm not going to even bother, Jaws. So thanks for nothing, but I'm just going to be avoiding you now. Because you're way too powerful for me at this point. So at that point in Photoshop's life, Adobe didn't have to worry about anybody else. There was nobody else. Because the alternatives were simply not as powerful, not as easy to use, not as intuitive, especially if you had come from Photoshop or anything like it. Well, actually, there was nothing really like it. And then, as time has gone on, these programs have become really, really good. To the point where you can, unless you need the full Creative Suite, and that even saying need is an interesting word, because you could, I think, reasonably assemble what the Creative Suite provides in total through a number of different other programs. And as long as you can figure out a workflow, I think it's a very fair argument to say that there really is no need for Creative Cloud. Unless you're utilizing their AI stuff, like their Sensei stuff, which does provide things like content-aware fill and some of the amazing stuff that the programs can do, but it's also stuff you can do yourself. You don't... Oh, I died! Oh, good thing I'm only power 1. So who cares? That's the first time I've died in this whole thing. I really thought I was shooting that guy faster. Jeez. Right off the bat. The other side of the coin, at least everyone works around the same tools. Yeah, no, there is that. No, I agree. That's what I mean about there's an ecosystem aspect to that. So, yeah, if you're in an industry where you're all working on, you can't be the only person who's not using Illustrator or not using Photoshop. Yeah, it's going to make it a lot harder. But what I would say, though, is you probably could. If you were really somebody who was dead set on not using it, you could do that. You could probably, if you were in a design studio or whatever, or a graphic design house or whatever, and you just did not want to use Illustrator. Wait, do I have to redo the tracker? Yeah, I do. You probably could get away. Well, I don't know about Illustrator. I don't know that there is a program out there that is near Illustrator in terms of vector graphics, because I don't like Illustrator. I know it's very powerful. I get it. I understand. I envy people who can work in Illustrator, because I try and I want to just break my screen in half. Oh, freehand. Okay, so there you go. So I would guess that if somebody was ideologically opposed to giving Adobe money, and I know those people exist, because those people exist for everything now. That's the world today, is everybody hates something. So if there was somebody who really didn't want to use Illustrator, they could use freehand. And they could probably export to the same type of formatting, because that's the other side, right? Once you become industry standard, everybody figures out what that industry standard is, and you can start exporting to it. It's the reason that, you can use OpenOffice and export to Microsoft Office-friendly formats. And so I can send a document to somebody who's using Office, and they can open it. So, there's always this kind of push and pull, which I think is great. I think it's good. That competition is necessary. But it does start to reveal how some of these companies are not really in touch with the world around them. Because, again, if I was Adobe now, I would be a lot more aggressive about pricing, and maybe you do it as a single license thing. Because I don't think Adobe does that. I don't think Adobe has a single license model. Right now, I think if I remember correctly, everything is a 2-device, which means you can have 2 devices, and then you basically sign out of one and into another. Well, then, you know what? Make it cheaper and make it a locked device. Because there are people who, most people are working on a primary machine now. Not many people are jumping between 3 different computers. Not many. And the people who don't have to worry about the monthly cost of Adobe in many cases. So those people don't care. You can give them the full price thing or whatever. But there should be some cheaper tier of it, because not only is it just, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, consumer friendly, but also it gets people using your product. And it is, I've tried GIMP a couple of times in the last couple of years, and I was impressed with it, don't get me wrong, but at the same time I felt myself going, oh boy, I do miss Photoshop. Oh jeez. Rotten. Oh, this is a miserable game so far. That's okay. At least he can't kill me up here against all logic. But yeah, this is not one of my more fun. I don't really care about the dying part, but I'm just not catching the breaks that I would like to. I've already got moving jellyfish. I'm running into Jaws at power 2. So this is just gonna be. Oh, I miss. Okay, got him that time. It's funny because I feel like I shot the other shark more times than that, and yet he didn't die. But whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I think that Adobe is also going to have kind of this, I don't know if there's going to be a suite of tools, but I don't know. I don't know that. I believe Adobe. Oh, did they? We'll see that. That is both smart on Adobe's part and one of the things that I despise most about the way that commerce and things work here, where, everybody is an acquisition target. Honestly, every company, no matter what, is just an acquisition target. It's just a matter of when. And in many cases, if not in all, but in the majority of cases, those acquisitions just subsume the things that made that product popular. And you can see it all over the place. You see it with Google acquiring Fitbit, and still being, we'll see what the Pixel Watch looks like, but it's not as if Google has been any type of good at anything lately. You look at, who's another one? What is it? Well, Twitter bought Vine and destroyed it, even though it was popular at the time, which just opened up the route for TikTok and stuff like that. So what was the point of that? If you're trying to change the workspace and one of the layouts is early called for, you know what? Never even noticed. Let's see, I didn't know about freehand because I'm not an Illustrator guy. There's a good friend of ours who is a graphic designer, and we're on the opposite side of the programming fence, where I will sit there and to me, having to go into Illustrator is something I'm forced to do, but I will never willingly do it because I just do not like the way it's what's the word for it? Its philosophy is the opposite of what my background is. I am a person who is used to working in non-mathematically defined artistic spaces. Because that's what a vector is. A vector is just a math equation made into a graphic, more or less, right? Anything that is, honestly, this is no exaggeration. I would say 95% of my interactions with Illustrator are something else that already exists and I'm modifying it. Because I can do that. Once all those shapes and all that crap, and you can cut shape and the scissor tool. Oh God, it makes it go crazy. Well, I mean, honestly, all that's got it. Well, yeah. I mean, Illustrator does seem to hammer. Although once you get to 90 plus layers in Photoshop, then Illustrator starts to look Spartan in comparison. But yeah, I cannot get behind the philosophy of Illustrator. And she's the same way with Photoshop. She can't understand why you would do something in Photoshop when you could do it in Illustrator. And that's because she's like I am. She except on the opposite side, which is that she came up on Illustrator. So yeah, if that's what your experience is, then I'm sure it does seem alien to go into Photoshop instead of Illustrator, because that's what people are used to. So I understand the benefit of Illustrator. It's not that I don't understand it, because the vector thing is extremely powerful for scale, Oh, okay. I almost used a really bad word, which I'm trying not to do. Yeah, InDesign, when I went to Adobe Max in LA, which I think was now 3 years ago, which, oh boy, do I not like being in LA. But anyway, when I went to Adobe Max there, I tried. I said, all right, let me take, because I'm trying to round out the skill set. I want to try to be open to these things and to, really try to embrace stuff that I'm not familiar with. Because I think it's a healthy attitude to have, is to not be afraid of stuff you don't understand, but try to figure it out. So I took an Adobe Design, or an InDesign course. Intro to InDesign, I'm sure. I would not have taken an advanced one because I'd never, ever opened the thing before this particular, session, breakout, whatever it was. And, oh boy, was I struggling to stay awake. I'm looking at this thing going, and again, in terms of raw functionality, I understand why people use it. It makes complete sense from a layout perspective. If you're doing stuff with physical frameworks, I get it. I get it. But holy cow. Yeah, that's what it is. So I understand why for some people it is a necessity and why they value it. I get it. But, I'm not doing People magazine layouts. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that stuff. And even if I was, I'll tell you what, I'll spend the 2 hours figuring out how to make that layout template in Photoshop before you're ever going to get me to open up InDesign again. It just ain't going to happen. Oh man, I'm taking a chance. Whew. Yeah, it was miserable to try to figure out InDesign. So more power to these people, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I couldn't even make it. I think that was the only class or session or whatever they call them that I took there. I was on InDesign. I had more fun in the Illustrator. I'll tell you what, it made me way more tolerant of Illustrator. I'll say that. Because I looked at InDesign and I went, oof. That's the dark side of the moon compared to Illustrator. I'm like, all right, I'm going to shut up a little bit. And but I've had more fun learning Premiere and although After Effects, oh boy, After Effects is still. I went to one with this motion graphics guy who actually interviewed on the show. Only good thing about InDesign, in my opinion, learn to page. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is I understand the value of the program. I do. It's just that it's not ever. I mean, I should know the basics of it, you know, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm too much of a hippy dippy artist type to get into that stuff. It's too sterile, I guess, is the word for it. It's just too empty of what I want to be doing, and I think that's my barrier with it. But if you're doing page layouts and you love doing page layouts, then I'm sure those people would look at Photoshop and say, why would you waste your time with a program that does not allow you to define exactly what you want something to look like? Because InDesign does that, and Photoshop doesn't. Well, yeah, that's another thing too. Is Premiere Pro is not. It's not great in terms of using it. I understand that. Like, even having only really used that and Final Cut, and I barely used Final Cut, so I shouldn't even. When I say use, that should be in about 1,000 quotation marks. I tried it maybe 3 times and decided, nah, I'll just stick with Premiere. But I know it. It's not intuitive. It's not smooth. It gets hung up on strange things. Some of the ways that they have, I don't know what the actual technical term for this, but some of the ways that it's supposed to be anticipating what you're doing based on what you're clicking on, everything doesn't make a lot of sense. Although I can make that same critique for Illustrator, and have. There have been times where I've said out loud to my computer, why are you doing that? Why would you think that's what I'm trying to do in Illustrator? And I've said the same thing in Premiere. But I think with Premiere, it is just something where it's just a very steep learning curve. And maybe that's the case. I have never used Vegas. But maybe Vegas is a lot... Because I know a lot of people who like Vegas. So maybe Vegas is a lot easier in terms of getting you acclimated to it. Premiere does not... They've made it a lot better with their training videos now than it used to be before they had that. But before that, Premiere was a very unforgiving program. I mean, to the point where the first couple of times I tried it, I kind of gave up. I literally got to the point where I went, okay, I've got 2 clips and I figured out how to cross dissolve, but I can't work out anything else. And I just kind of gave up and had to watch videos and read some tutorials on it. Now, the Adobe Help stuff, and of course, the difference in the quality of what's on YouTube in terms of training is also something that is almost a generational difference. Just in the last 4-5 years, what you can find in terms of help on YouTube just from random people, forget that Adobe now has actually really good video resources, which are legitimately good, but just the stuff on YouTube is fantastic. So it's just a much different world in terms of, and again, this goes back to what I was talking about a while ago, where Adobe's better be careful, because even these open source tools now have lots of videos from people who will say, here, you want to do something that you can do in Photoshop? Here's how you do it in this, in XYZ. So that advantage they have, it's not what it used to be. And that's where, like with Netflix, Adobe's in a sweet spot now, but that sweet spot will get eroded. Something will come along. Someone will figure out how to unify some of these other tools in some inexpensive package, or it will simply become where the feature parity is close enough that if even half of the people who currently pay for Adobe because they don't understand the fact that there is another program that can do most of it, when those people find that out, that's it. The ride is over. Uh-oh. Is Joe still here? Oh, no! Ah, nuts. Oh, no. This is going to be bad news central. Okay, well, there's no... Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I like Adobe. I'm you know, what... I am one of, like, a Elon Musk apologist for Adobe, because I really do like them. And I like their products, and I've used them forever. So I certainly don't want Adobe to go away. I want them to... You know, you always want 2 or 3 big hitters in a space. Right? That's what you want. Oh, geez, I'm dancing around these things. It's kind of like why I don't just want... I want some third competitor to Android and iOS. I would have liked Windows Phone to have been it or WebOS to have been it. Unfortunately, neither of those lasted. But I don't like it just being Android and iOS because it's better than only having one, but it's still not, you know, you want that. It's why it's great that there's Linux. Even though I'm not a Linux guy and I'm not going to use Linux. Ah, damn it. I knew that was going to happen. I'm not going to use Linux. I already know I'm not going to use. Well, the only advantage, though, is I can stay up here. I'm just never going to use Linux. I mean, I shouldn't say never. I might at some point consider using Linux, but it's unlikely. But I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's there for people who want that are fed up with the fact that both Windows and Mac force you to accept stupid things sometimes. So I'm all for having, and in fact prefer having at least 3 options. But Adobe really, you know, all the other options, there is no, I can't think of another, I mean, I guess Clip Studio isn't free, I don't think, right? You have to pay for that, don't you? So I guess there is, but it's not at the same level. It's not, I can't think of who else in terms of a, you know, the Creative Cloud offering where you get all that stuff, that level of creative power. I don't know who else is like them. And that's bad. I mean, that is not a positive thing for me to be saying. That's not me going, yeah, Adobe is great. No, that's bad. I want somebody else to be in that space to be able to compete. And it's going to happen. It's just inevitable that at some point, whether it's because Adobe gets complacent or what, I don't know, but somebody's going to come along and slap them around. And then, you know, they're going to be just like Netflix saying, and that's when they'll crack down on the multi-user thing where you'll only be able to license it. Like having it on more than one computer is going to increase. They'll do all the same stupid stuff that all these companies do when they don't want to actually examine why something is happening and accept the fact that some of it is their fault for acting, you know, in dumb ways or not looking forward a little bit to a point where maybe they're not as dominant. That's often where this stuff comes from, is a company not being able to look in the mirror and say, all right, well, you know what? We're all right today, but kind of like, you know, athletes or supermodels who don't plan for the point that, you know, at some point your body's going to start failing you and your looks aren't going to last forever. That's it. And maybe you'll sock away enough money for that to happen, but you never know. So companies are the same way. It's the same kind of, I only care about the next 10 hours mentality, which is just not where you want to be if you're actually looking for long-term sustainability, to use a ecological term. So I don't know. I don't know where, it's not in the near term. I don't see Adobe having any problems anytime soon, but I'm sure people would have said that about Netflix 2 years ago, right? So you don't know. Oh, geez. When are you going to start yeah, no, that ain't happening, man. This is it. This is what it is, baby. It's all it's going to ever be. I can barely maintain this. Are you kidding? This is it for me. I can barely play. I already died in this session on a game that is colossally easy. Oh, Jesus, thanks. And I've already died in this, and I'm just, you know, I don't, I barely have hand-eye coordination. I'll be amazed if my drawing stream doesn't end up as a complete train wreck. Although at least with that I have an undo. Where am I? Oh, I'm at power 5, so actually. Oh, new follower. Well, God, that was a weird sound effect. I wonder if you can customize that. I do not want to hear that sound again. Not, you know, your fault or anything. It's just, it was like, it's a weird sound. Okay. No, I wasn't near Jaws. Do I have enough to get another power up? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know where Adobe's going to be, say 5 years from now. I'm not going to pretend that they're going to be in any real trouble, but I also don't think that they're acting in a particularly prescient fashion. So we'll see. Okay, come on. This thing should be ending by now. Okay. Because honestly, my throat is starting to... how long have I been doing this for? I don't actually know. It's got to be close to an hour now. If it's no, it's got to be past an hour now. I've been talking for a long time. Come on. Although at some point this music will probably drive me up a wall, so I might have to change. There was actually I did think of something. There was some other game where I thought, oh, you know what? I might do a special episode where I don't play Jaws. What was the game that I was thinking of? Boy, I can't remember now. I don't remember. There was something where I thought, oh yeah, you know. Oh, good grief, these people. These friggin' jellyfish, I tell you. Come on. Yeah. Oh, man, they're not dropping anything, which is not great. Drop something, fool. Thank you. There we go. Now it's only 2. Actually, that's better. If they stagger, they're going to come back now in force. Third one will show up in a minute. Yep, there he is. It's better when they stagger their drops, because then you only just kind of get once in a while. One, every so often. When they all drop at once, that's not great. All right. See, now it'd be good if... I got to get another one to drop, and then I'll be... Come on, man. Ridiculous. Yeah, see, they're trying to get me. Now the game's just cheating. Now the game just wants to get me. It already knows it's got me on the ropes because it killed me once. What killed me? Oh, I went to the face of the shark. That's right. So we'll see. There we go. Okay. Not bad. Be over with, please. Yeah, it's over with. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what the game was. There was some game where I thought, I should play it. I mean, at some point, this gimmick will die. Now, and then the next question will be, okay, is it actually something I want to... It may just become where I just draw as a stream. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I said, I haven't even tried... I have to buy the program, actually. It's only $20, though. I found a program that'll let me do... Because I started messing around with the screen mirroring. And the problem with that was that it took over the whole screen. So I couldn't... I wouldn't be able to see the chat thing or anything like that, or see what it actually looked like. And then I found this program called Reflector that essentially is what I would call, the only word for it would be screen mirroring plus, I guess. Oh, I guess I wasn't going there. Oh, I was going that way. Do I have the mini sub? No, I don't. I don't have the mini sub. I don't think it appeared yet. Oh, okay. Well, we'll hit Jaws now. Oh no, really? Scumbags. This is just not nice when they do this stuff. Ah! There he is. Hey, big man. How you doing? So, yeah, I'm going to try that reflector thing out. I mean, I did try the 7-day trial, but it's got a watermark. But it did what I needed it to, because I did a quick test stream, and everything looked the way I wanted it to, and I was able to get rid of some of the framing, and it allows me to kind of jump out of the program. So, I'll probably give my voice a break for about an hour. I have to, the one other thing I have to see with Twitch is, I know it doesn't matter with this because it's a video game, so the video game soundtrack is playing, but with the drawing stream, I don't want it to just be dead air behind me in case I'm actually, a lot of times when I'm drawing, I'm not necessarily going to be talking because I'm concentrating, which you could say, well, aren't you concentrating when you play this? Well, if you watched me play it for more than 5 minutes, you'd know that wasn't the case. So I have to see how that's going to work for... If I can stream, there's a website. I'm just going to wait here. I'll just let Jaws come get me. There he is. All right, come on, buddy. Where are you? Oh, moving jellyfish. Of course it was. Of course they are. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, this is a disaster. This is a disaster. Possibly. No, it will be. This is bad. This is probably going to result in a death. I'd be shocked if not. Because the problem is, it's not just the moving jellyfish. He's also got the baby sharks as his deflector shields. Because they're soaking up all the damage. So I'm actually not really hitting them all. Okay, and I'm doing better than I thought. I was afraid they were going to... I've got them staggered enough. I can probably get them. I got to let that thing get by. Okay, there we go. Because they're going to show back up. Oh, jeez. I tell you, jeez, man, the way those jellyfish move really piss me off sometimes. They really move... Okay, I got him. I got him! This is it. Here we go. Man, I didn't know about that one. I thought that was going to be really tight. Come on, come back, come back. There he is. Oh, he's finished. Done. Dead set. Well, almost dead center. The shark is down again. Nice try, Jaws. But you cannot defeat me. Because I have a boat that can make you jump out of the water inexplicably. Amazing they didn't... You know what? I don't think this color palette appears in the rest of the game. Why didn't they use some more colors? No. Screw Friday the 13th. That game... My wife plays that game. I hate that game. I have never understood... like the running around the camp thing is okay. I played that. But then once you get in the house and you have to duck him hitting you with a giant toothbrush? No. I know it's supposed to be an axe. It's a giant toothbrush. No, I don't like Friday the 13th. I know I'm supposed to, and whatever. No, I don't like that game. That is one of those games that's really popular with people, and I've never understood it. And I mean, I guess if you like difficult Nintendo games, sure, then that's for you. But I despise that game. I've played it maybe 4 times in my entire life. I think I played it twice when I was actually young and it was on the NES, and then I played it a couple more times, maybe, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer, just to see if maybe it was because it was hard and I was a kid. Because some games you get older and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't really that hard. I was just a moron when I played it. Because I thought maybe it was that it would actually be easier. No, it was still just frustration alley, and that's okay. I'm good. That's why I don't play Dark Souls or any of that stuff either. It's fine if you like it. It's not for me. So no Friday the 13th. I don't know what else I would play besides Jaws. You know, and plus that was the gimmick. So it's not to say I won't. I mean, off the top of my head, if I was to think of another game that I would play, it'd probably be something like Elevator Action, maybe. Because I like that game too, even though that's another very simple, straightforward game, but I like it. Goonies, yeah, the Goonies game is good. I actually do like that game. But see, games like that, because that's a game with some length to it. And I'm never going to be streaming for that long. This is probably the longest stream I've done. Yeah, this is over an hour. I have not done any that were over an hour before. And I'm not generally going to. This is sort of an unusual day. So... where I just needed kind of something to do for a little bit, for a little longer than usual. But generally, you know, because normally when I talk for a long time, it's when I'm doing the show, and that's because Lando is there to break in, so I get the breaks where I'm not talking. Doing this, you have to just keep talking and talking and talking. So doing that for more than an hour is not the easiest thing. I mean, I obviously did it because I was rambling about nonsense for a while. But, yeah, the Goonies, I like the game. It's not a game I would play on here because what I need on here is simplicity. So, yeah, I know I've always got mail, but it's not mail. Oh, somebody following me. Well, I already knew that because I'm in the. Well, thanks anyway, Twitch, I guess. So yeah, I think I'm going to take a break for a little bit, and then what I'll do is I will try to do the art stream, which will be a completely different background because I want it to be very, very simple for people to figure out when I'm streaming what. I'm going to use an entirely different machine too because I have a completely different layout for it. But it's far more simple than this. And I'm going to try that on there and see how that goes because I didn't think I was going to be able to make that work. And it's not going to be, the sound quality is going to be different because I'm not going to use this microphone. I realized that I don't ever draw at a desk. It just doesn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use basically, what's the word for it? Like, I'll probably use a set of headphones. I won't use earbuds because those mics are really going to be awful. So I will try out the same headset I'm using now, but I'm only using it for the audio I hear. I'm not using it for the actual microphone. But I'll basically use the same headset, except I will use it for both sound, not that there really will be much except for the background music if I can get that to work, and then the microphone itself. So it's not going to be the best quality, but I think in terms of the art stream, you're going to be watching that for the visuals more than me talking anyway. Unlike this, because there's not much to see in Jaws. I think this is probably as much my incoherent ramblings as it is anything else. So, there's a chatting thing too. I should probably put that up for the end of the thing where it's just like a picture of me with just words vomiting out endlessly in a loop. That'd be probably good. But anyway, I'm going to end this stream now, and I'm going to go take a break for a bit, and then I will attempt in probably about an hour or so. Yeah, probably about an hour, depending, to do the art stream. I don't know how long that one's going to be because the way I draw, it just depends. If I get on a groove, I draw for a while, but sometimes I draw in these little bits and spurts, so I don't quite know how that's going to work. But in any event, I'll put this over to the be right back thing because why not? So anyway, I'll end this now and go relax for a little bit, and then we'll try the drawing thing. And I'll send out a notice for that, but I'm planning for it to be about an hour. So I didn't put it on Twitter. Jeez, that's what I mean. I wish this thing had a way to say, okay, shoot notifications out to all this stuff. It just doesn't. In any event, thanks for stopping by, everybody. And yeah, we'll try this again a little later with the drawing stream, and we'll see how that goes. And Probably better than this, but who knows? All right, take it easy.